And welcome to Hero Power. I'm your host, Avanties, and as always, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Zerotio.
Hey, gang.
And Virsica.
Well, he's keeping us honest. You didn't count in. He didn't Shatner the opening. It'll be one of those nights.
Yep.
Right. And of course, Mattatarms.
Coin Hero Power, turn 1.
Yes.
He's still stuck on that.
I mean, he's not actually left the office since the show last week, and he's just been thinking about coining hero power on turn 1.
So I have played that deck, and I have actually coined hero power 2 separate occasions, and both times I won that game by turn 6.
Yeah, same. It's doesn't seem right, but it's so right.
Yeah, you know, actually, I'd been tooling around with an aggro shaman deck. I know that sounds really weird to hear me say that, and actually, it sounds really weird to me to say it out loud. But one of the things that I started doing after last week's show was I started treating it like a burn deck. Since then, my win rate jumped up about 20%. So.
Nice. So
Embrace
maybe
the smork.
there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got a good show lined up for you today. A lot to talk about, including a listener email. And Virsica has some stuff lined up. So I'm going to read the email first, and then we'll get to it. So it says, "Hello, Hero Power guys. It's been a while since I last emailed the show, but I still listen." All right, interjecting here, because when you said it had been a while, we got curious. So I looked it up. The last time you emailed us was August 29th of 2017.
Yeah.
Anyway, he says, "The reason I'm writing in is because I ran into a familiar face on Hearthstone last night. I'm online, laddering a tad, waiting for someone to log in that I know so I can complete my friend quest, and I run into none other than Virsica. We play, and he stomps me flat, which I can only describe as death by spiders. It was some kind of espionage rogue with Faldorai Strider augmented Elic tech. It was glorious. I sent him a friend request immediately, and he accepted. I told him that I was a longtime listener of the show, and that I really enjoyed finally getting to play against him. Then I asked him if he would mind playing a few more games with me to complete my quest, and he agreed. The first game, I was determined to beat him, so I played Zulok. He played some kind of bonkers, odd, spiteful summoner druid deck that just smashed me, and I loved it. After 2 straight games against decks that I've never seen before, I decided to go for broke, and so I asked if he would mind if I borrowed a deck of his to play the next match. He said sure, and said he had to go get a drink, and that I could pick whatever I wanted. It was like someone had opened the Hearthstone Ark of the Covenant. There wasn't a conventional deck on either page, and one page was nothing but shaman decks. I picked what I thought was the rogue deck that I had just played against, but it ended up being some kind of crazy cube rogue, and when we got to turn 3, I realized this was a mirror match. There were so many crazy turns, I actually ended up winning. We finished out my quest, and I enjoyed chatting with him, as he was a super nice guy. After it was over, I came to 2 conclusions. First, he has some of the best deck names, and number 2, he's been holding out on us. I would love to see a few of the decks that I played last night on the show and have him walk through how to play them, because I'm sure I wasn't playing them right. In fact, I was writing in the hopes that I could snag some deck lists that I saw from him. In particular, the decks Blind Squirrel, Never Know What Hit 'Em, Making Copies, No Moon, No Mercy, and Rolling Ring of Earth and Fire.
I like that one.
My deck tracker flaked, and I have the deck names, but not the deck lists. Maybe it has to do with the fact that I borrowed the decks. I can't even watch the replays. Do you guys think you could get them for me? Still listen to the show every week. Thanks, David K. So, Virsica, tell us about it from your side.
Well, he was right. First two games went about like what he said, and then the third game ended up being a mirror match, and I misplayed, and he took advantage of it. So, kudos to him for catching that. So yeah, I don't have most of those decks anymore. By the time we got the email, I'd already moved on with most of them. I can kind of guess what I had in them. Like, I might be able to recreate most of what it was, but one of the things I don't do a very good job is writing down decks that I'm either a work in progress or I don't really know what it is I want the deck to do. I just I start with a couple of cards and just kind of build from there. So, like, Blind Squirrel, for an instance, was an even hunter that I was trying out. That night after we finished playing, I don't even think it finished the night. There are a couple of them that I still have, and I will grab the email address and email you the deck codes for the ones that I still have. I know I still have Rolling Ring of Earth and Fire.
Send me that one.
I have Making Copies, Never Know What Hit 'Em. I don't have No Moon, No Mercy anymore. I don't have Blind Squirrel. And I don't have the Cube Rogue that you're talking about. But I mean, I'll send you the list of what I've got. And I'm going to steal a little bit of Zerotio's thunder here. I know he normally does this, but if you just go to our patron page for as little as $1 a month, you get access to our patron Discord. We have a deck list channel in there that I don't use very often at all, but I have in the past posted deck lists in there from people that want them, and so I'll probably go ahead and post these in there as well now that you kind of called them out on the show. I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm not a big fan of this expansion, so I've not spent a lot of time really creating decks in this expansion, so I don't feel like they're as good as maybe my deck creations in previous expansions. But I like the Ark of the Covenant comment. I know Avanties did as well, and I'm glad that you enjoyed getting to play with them. It was a lot of fun, and thank you. In the spirit of full transparency, you actually helped me complete my friend quest too, because I was still working on them as well. And one of the players that normally comes to our firesides spectated me for at least one of the matches. I think it may have been two. So yeah, he was having a good time too. We were talking back and forth while I was playing you. So it was a fun night, and I appreciate any chance I get to play against somebody that is into that. That's wanting to just try new things is always a fun experience for me. So.
Meta.
Yeah, I do. I really enjoy the off meta. So
cool. All right. Well, again, David, thank you for the email. You guys, we tell you every week, we love to hear from you, and it's true. We if I had enough emails to fill a show, we just do an entire show of listener emails because we love hearing from you guys.
I mean, if you do see us online, do what David did and shoot us a friend request. Mm-hmm. I mean, we love getting to talk to listeners, and most of the time we're up for playing if you want to. So, and sometimes we'll just kind of sneak in and watch you play. Like, for instance, the other morning, I logged on while I was getting ready for work, and friend of the show and host of Legend of the Innkeeper podcast, Espo, was on, and he was he was on doing something crazy with
Fishes
Alec
and
and
imps.
Astral Tiger, and it was madness. But I couldn't. It was like a train wreck. I couldn't stop watching it. So
Yeah, Espo has found a new love. He used to hate Druid, but he's found a new love in Druid. So
yeah,
Nice.
it's pretty cool. And
mean,
and I will parrot that
get plugged in.
after my games, and a lot of those are salty friend requests, but I don't care, because if I have to wade through a dozen salty friend requests just to get one that says, "Hey, I know you from the show," I'll keep friending. I'll keep accepting them as I get them. I don't care who sends them to me. So if you send me a friend request, please, send me a message. Tell me who you are so I can update your notes. Because I do have to purge my friends quite often because I play in tournaments and leagues. But if I can put a note that you're a listener to the show, I won't ever delete you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, let's jump right into what we've got going on tonight. Like I said, we've got quite a bit to talk about, but the first thing in my list here says Virsica needs 15 minutes.
All right,
good luck with that, sir.
Yeah, so heading up to the release of Rastakhan, one of the things that I feel like Blizzard hasn't done a great job of so far is really getting us into the lore of the troll race. I feel like they're one of those races that kind of gets pushed down to the side. The cinematic for the new WoW expansion actually has a troll shaman in it, but no one knows his name. It's like it's not mentioned in the trailer, and I've been looking for it and can't find it. People just call him Zappy Boy. So I thought we'd take this opportunity to kind of dive into the lore a little bit in a fairly fun way. So we're going to do a little bit of trivia. So I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions and let you guess the answers. No cheating. And make note of the answers because it may come up again. There may be, let's just put it this way. There may be a quiz somewhere down the road and you'll want to know the answers. So, Shaman, of course, is my favorite, right? Everyone knows Shaman is my favorite class. So,
wait, Shaman's your favorite class?
Yeah.
Why am I just hearing this?
So, my question for you is, out of all the Shaman in Warcraft, out of all the races that are Shaman in Warcraft, you have named Shaman that are commonly known amongst all of them except for Trolls. Do you know why? Any guesses?
They don't like trolls.
No, Blizzard actually does like Trolls.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's lots of named shaman in the game, but I mean,
Are there?
There's a lot of named shaman that aren't trolls.
Right.
Is what I'm saying. I'm trying to think of some that are trolls. The only one I can think of is in most recent times, the BFA expansion, Battle for Azeroth, is King Rastakhan.
Okay.
And that's the only one I could.
But why has there not been any before now? So what's the answer, Virsica?
Okay, so Trolls, and they're unique in the sense that their shamans actually have multiple disciplines. So,
Well, it's based off Loa, isn't it?
Right. Well, the Loa is yes, the Loa commune with trolls that are spiritual. So you've got the Witch Doctor, and then you've got the Shadow Hunters. So Shadow Hunters are commonly thought of as either hunters or shadow priests, but they actually, believe it or not, hedge on the side of shamanism as well. So like Vol'jin is actually a shadow hunter, which is actually one of the shamans. So Vol'jin, in essence, is a shaman of sorts. He's not shaman's not his main thing. He's a warrior first, but he can cast hex and so on and so forth. So named shaman. Some of the people may know if you play WoW. the three that I remembered the most was Shan Su, who was the shaman trainer in the Valley of Wisdom in Orgrimmar. You spend a lot of time there. Telf Julam, which is the keeper of the dormant flame, as a shaman, that's who you go to learn to control fire. So you take the proof that you defeated a fire elemental too, so you can learn to do your fire stuff. And then Seer Janati, which is the regent vendor in Zobergen and Zangermarsh. So if you play WoW, you'll know those shaman, but outside of the new expansion, there's not many named shaman because most of them are witch doctors or shadow hunters. And really it depends on which Loa they speak with. So like a witch doctor might talk to the Loa of Storms, which is Shango, or they may focus instead on the Loa Locale, who is the Master of Healing. So depending on which Loa they commune with, depends on which discipline of the shamanism that they're using. So some shamans can speak with the Loa of the dead, and some with the Loa of in this one you've got like the Loa for the different classes. So like your paladins are going to have Loas, but the shaman can commune with whichever Loa they want. So even though like in Hearthstone, paladins go have their own Loa, in the actual shaman lore, that a shaman can communicate with that Loa as well.
A troll shaman specifically.
Troll, yeah. So so it's pretty much, from what I gather, and I'm doing a little bit more research in this, but it appears like trolls communicate with the Loa in general. So a priest can communicate with the Loa as well. And then most of their sorcerers fall down the witch doctor path. So they may be less shamanistic and more arcane, but they still follow that witch doctor path. They use something called juju. That's just fun to say too. But yeah. So a lot of them like use the herb witchbane, and they make their alchemist, and they make a lot of their own potions and such. But they work with voodoo magic and arcane, and they use staves. They're really big into like stave carvings, and then like I said, they do most of their work with juju. So it's they use magic. They just use it differently than any of the other races on Azeroth. So just a little bit of troll history. So if you're keeping note, I gave you 2 Loa names, and then I also gave you a couple of shaman names, and then I pointed out that it's not just shaman that are using shaman magic. So,
well, that's a Loa information.
It is a Loa of information. We'll put it in the show notes.
All right. Anything else you want to put in before we move on?
Next week we'll be doing a little bit more. We'll talk a little bit more about the tribes of the Stranglethorn.
Okay. All right. Cool. So next part this week, there was a pretty interesting Reddit post about the investigation of opponent selection in matchmaking. Matt, I know you were kind of brought this to our attention in Discord. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about it?
So the Reddit user Wuggles, I love the name, was bored one evening, decided to play 150 games on ladder, or it might have been one evening or a week. I'm not sure which. It was very dense, but basically a lot of text for he played 50 games of Pogo Rogue, 50 games of Even Warlock, and 50 games of Zoo Warlock, and matched up and basically wrote down what he faced in each 50 game set, and determined that just from his data that the deck selection does not matter what you're seeing. It's so like you know that feeling you get when you switch decks and you feel like when the meta's against you, you switch decks, and then all of a sudden you're seeing the decks that your old deck was good against. Well, he's saying, and I tend to believe him because of my own personal opinion, view on the ladder, and that this doesn't exist. Now, this is something like one person did. This is only one little subset of data, and 150 games isn't that big of a sample size, quite honestly. And for something like this, so I would hope that maybe something like HS Replay or Vicious Syndicate could probably kind of get into this and say, hey, if we're allowed to tag our individual users and see what games they play with what decks, does that change what they see on the ladder?
So I took this as he was kind of trying to either prove or disprove the existence of an algorithm that matches you based on your win rate and your deck contents versus the deck contents of someone else with a similar win rate. And like, you know, a lot of times, I know I myself feel like this a lot. Like, it happens a lot. It's like you're playing a certain deck, you're frustrated, you're coming up against, let's say you're playing Zulok and you're coming up against Odd Paladin deck 2 out of every 3 games. And it's just like, oh, so you switch, and then immediately you run into like Taunt Druid and all this other stuff that you weren't seeing when you were playing your Zuloks. So you feel like, well, I switched, so it must have known that I switched, so now it's giving me decks that counter the deck that I had. And I know I've posted about it before that I felt like there was something there, that it just happened too often to just be random. So based on, you know, this article and his numbers, like you said, it was a pretty small sample size, but, you know, he's saying that basically, according to his data, that doesn't exist. So I really started thinking about it. I'm just like, okay, so you typically can't make numbers lie when it comes to something like this. And yeah, trying not to get hung up on the fact that the data sample size is small. I started thinking about, okay, so what could be other reasons if there's not some like diabolical algorithm running in the background that pairs us into bad matchups? Why does this seem to happen so much? So I started thinking about, you know, I was like, okay, so how many games do I normally give myself with a particular deck that isn't working before I switch decks? And so, I started, you know, kind of trying to think back, and my mind's not as good as it once was, but it's good enough to remember at least my last couple of sessions. And really, it's about 5 to 6. So about 5 to 6 games of getting my head bashed in with a particular deck, I usually trade. So when I trade, I usually trade to something that is very different from the deck that I'm playing, right? So we've talked in the past about small, subtle meta shifts within the sub-metas of the five different sections of the Hearthstone ladder. So is it possible, instead of maybe some diabolical algorithm that's moving along in the back, that maybe I'm not alone in the whole 5 to 6 games before I trade into something completely different, and what we're seeing instead of some algorithm is just subtle meta shifts inside the sub meta that we're playing in?
Yeah, and I agree with you 100% on that. Basically, the way I see it is if you're playing on the ladder and you're seeing a lot of the same deck, usually that's indicative of somebody streaming a specific deck that's working or something like that. So if, say at that moment, for example, that Odd Paladin all of a sudden just floods your area of your ladder because it's popular or another streamer said, hey, it's working right now, while you're losing to that deck, they're winning. So by the time you decide to swap out of it, those players that took advantage of that subtle meta change or that popular deck are now, you know, a full rank and a half above you, you're not going to play those players anymore because they're gaining rank while you're losing rank. And then when you switch, a lot of other people are also probably switching because they see the same thing. So then those players go, let me switch off of this deck because it's being countered. And literally you think, oh, it's only been 3 or 4 games. But in the current meta right now, a game can run a good 7-8 minutes long. So 3 or 4 games is literally 24 to 30 minutes. And by that time, players have realized, oh, I got what I'm going to – I got the rank and a half out of this deck that I'm going to get. Let me switch to a different deck that a different streamer's doing. So the meta right now, I mean, it used to be back when the game first started, metas – would stick for 2-3 weeks, and then as expansions started coming out, you'd have metas sticking for full weeks at a time, and then as early as last year, you had metas changing possibly every 2 days, sometime every day, and now you're literally seeing metas change hour, sometimes minute to minute, because of popularity and the amount of playable decks there are. Back when there was only 3 or 4 playable decks on the ladder, you knew it was one of those 3 or 4 decks. So you either played those decks or you countered those decks, which also was maybe another 3 or 4 decks. Well, now you have a subset pool of, anywhere from 9 to 12 viable decks on the ladder. And then you have probably another half dozen decks that are played just to counter those decks. So you see literally 18 different decks. If you play for a full day, a good 8-10 hour session, you'll see a dozen to 18 different decks that you play against, which is what makes this meta so healthy, but also the most frustrating.
Yeah, well, also selection and memory bias is a real thing. So and it feels bad when you switch and then all of a sudden, so you remember that all the time. You don't play the 4 or 5 decks with that deck now because you ran into the odd warrior that completely crushes your deck. So, so it's like, oh, I've just played this and now I hit an odd warrior. Great. I'm going to go back to the thing I started with because that's good against odd warrior. So I think the fact that he's able to separate out just jamming these games and then seeing the bar graph that he posted in there is literally the exact same decks minus a deck or a game here or there that he's seeing, or classes. I don't think he's separated by decks. So, it's I think a lot of it is I feel it's in your head. If you feel like you're good with this certain deck, a lot of times it's just okay, you played your 5 games and now you kept on running into counters. Okay, maybe you either take a break, or maybe you just push through and play another 5 games because you'll probably get better matchups.
So that's kind of what I took away from it too, was that from what it appeared to me, and after I kind of thought through the line of thought, I'm like, well, it kind of makes sense. Is that if you have a deck that you like or a deck that you feel like you're being fairly successful with, you just have to kind of push through the meta shifts that are going to happen. And what Zerotio was saying, what seems to be every 30, 45 minutes to an hour now. And it's just small shifts inside the overall larger meta. And these are probably closer to Tier 1 matching up against Tier 2 decks, or maybe Tier 2 decks that are trying to counter Tier 1 decks that are coming up against Tier 3 and off meta decks. And a lot of times, if you just be a little bit patient, it seems to sort itself out. I think most of us aren't patient. We go ahead and make that switch, and then by the time we switched, we have seen the shift we were waiting on to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Also, right now, HS Replay is heavily used by most of the player base, especially up at my rank, that 5 to legend rank. Most players are using HS Replay to get their data. So when they decide their deck, they're deciding that deck based on what HS Replay data shows. And when you're playing 2 or 3 games and you get matched against an unfavored, then a favored, then maybe an unfavored, it's you can understand it because you're looking at HS Replay saying, okay, I know this matchup going into my game, but then all of a sudden you get matched up against Odd Quest Warrior that has no data.
Odd Quest Rogue.
Yeah, Odd Quest Warrior that has that has no data on HS Replay, or some of the priest decks that have very little data, and you don't know what your matchup is. So you're basically, while you have all the tools to do well on the ladder, you're going in blind, going, I don't even know what my win rate is. This is a very uncommon deck, and losing to those decks feels bad because you feel like you had no chance because there was no data for it. And that's why I usually try to parse my personal data instead of just, Vicious Syndicate or HS Replay, because my personal data is going to show me what I'm playing in that rank. So I like to pull up, what did I do against Priest, even though it's not, Priest isn't showing enough on HS Replay. Maybe I played it enough to pull my data from it. But like I said, this is a very frustrating meta, but this is in my opinion, the most healthy and balanced meta we've had. Literally, 3 weeks from a set release?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Speaking of said set release, we kind of touched on it last week briefly during our discussion with Admirable that the set would be coming out on December 4th. Well, now we have a little more information. There will be a Rastakhan's Rumble pre-release, but unlike the previous one, unlike the last one where you only had a select few locations, this one will be open to all firesides, public or private, that are registered between 10 a.m. on November 30th and 10 a.m. Pacific on December the 3rd. So your event has to be registered in that time frame to be eligible for the pre-release campaign. Now, what will you be able to do at the pre-release? Well, one, you'll be able to open your packs early and see what you get. Two, there will be an event called Rastakhan's No Cards Barred Brawl. In this event, you'll be able to construct a deck using the cards that you opened during the pre-release event.
Yes.
There will be no restrictions on class or duplicates. So if you open 4 of a common, you can use all 4. If you open 6 commons, you could put all 6 in the deck. If you open 4 rares, all 4 rares could go in. So you can.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah,
that
you
was
can
what they were
harness
talking about.
all the mayhem of the Gurubashi arena in this.
You can
event.
also put mage cards in your priest deck.
Now, my question here is,
that's true. Yeah.
the Boomsday had a pre-release.
Or
I attended down with Bunny. Bunny's a great innkeeper, one of the best I know. No offense, Avanties. Down in
she's great.
in the Atlanta area, and you were restricted to only being able to use basic cards and the set cards. Does this mean I can put any class cards in this?
No cards barred.
Awesome. I love it.
Okay.
That's terrifying.
That is quite terrifying. So
Yeah, you can play the new warrior card in Druid.
that's right. With that in mind, start looking at the cards that are coming out, and be thinking of ideas for decks to build for when this becomes available.
Theory craft.
The other brawl that will be taking place at pre-release events is a royal recipe. This is a pre-constructed brawl that will have all the new deck recipes from the upcoming set available for you to play with. And you don't need to have pre-purchased packs in order to participate. So if you just want to go, and if, say, you don't have the money to pre-order, but you still want to go and be able to have fun and participate in the pre-release event, you can go and play the Royal Recipe pre-constructed brawl with friends, and you can still get to participate and play with some of the new cards.
Also, with the Royal Recipe, you'll get a good taste of what decks you'll be able to play with Whizbang once the set rolls out on December the 4th.
Right.
They did clarify that Whizbang, you can use Whizbang to enjoy the pre-release if you want, but you won't get the new recipes in the Whizbang pool until December the 4th when the actual release happens.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, go find a pre-release near you and go have some fun.
So speaking of a pre-release near you, if you are in the Knoxville, Tennessee area or willing to travel to East Tennessee, we will be hosting a pre-release party on December the 1st, which is a Saturday.
Correct.
Yep.
From noon to 8 p.m. So 8 hours of Rastakhan
Madness.
goodness.
You can. We're trying to see if we can get some personalities out there, but we do have an A-list personality that's going to be out there by the name of Zerotio, and he will be there. I plan to bring my rig, and if
Zerotio doesn't start with an A.
yeah, anyways, if
You're trying to get people to go.
if the
right.
bandwidth allows, I'm going to try to stream my pack openings. So if you want to come out and stream bomb me while I'm there, please come on out.
Well, with that said, we may be allowing anyone to stream their pack openings.
Yes.
Our venue, Level Up Games, has a fantastic streaming room set up, and what we may do is just rotate people in onto the stream and allow them to open their packs on the Card Shop Talk stream. We may even stream some gameplay of the new set. So could be a good time for those who just can't quite make it out. But also, we now know when the card reveal live streams will be happening.
Yes.
So I know Zerotio is very excited because Peter Whalen will be doing the first card reveal stream with Regis Kilbin.
Yes, Regis Kilbin, one of my favorite streamers.
On the official Hearthstone Twitch channel, November the 19th. That's this coming Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern.
And if you follow me on Twitter at Zerotio, by the way, you will see I was able to meet Regis Kilbin wearing one of his wonderful Shutterwalk shirts at BlizzCon. He is a great personality, has a gorgeous red beard, has a very infectious laugh, very similar to Ben Brode. He is going to be a joy to watch, especially with Peter Whalen.
So we found out earlier in the show that Virsica likes Shaman, but did you guys hear Zerotio went to BlizzCon?
Yeah.
To BlizzCon, really?
Anyway.
If nobody's heard.
So that'll be the first live stream. Mm-hmm. The final card reveal live stream will feature Dean Ixar Ayala and Brian Kibler, and that live stream will take place on Wednesday, November the 28th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. So that'll be the final reveal because all the cards at that point will be dumped. We'll know everything because the first pre-release parties start the next day on the 29th. So they'll run Thursday through Sunday.
And definitely catch the 29th stream because usually you'll get the hidden gems that get dropped the last day that nobody, maybe Blizzard didn't think would be really that powerful. And they end up popping out. Corridor Creeper was one of those last-minute drop cards that ended up just having to get nerfed later.
Small-time Buccaneer, another one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Small-time Buccaneers one. All right. So that brings us to our next thing. We talked about this a little bit last week as well. Every expansion, Mattatarms has been gracious enough to create a spreadsheet for us to allow you guys, our listener community, and Hearthstone fans to go in and rank the expansion before release. So we know the new expansion is coming up. We're getting that spreadsheet ready. We're putting in the cards as we go. So once the cards have all been revealed, you guys can go in and rank before release. But tonight, we thought we would take a look back at the Boomsday rankings that we did, kind of see what we as a community got right, where we went way wrong, and what was the biggest surprises. So, Mattatarms, why don't you take it away?
Sure. So yeah, like I said, I'm doing this again for Rastakhan. So, and that week is going to be busy for me. No productivity for at least work wise. So, yeah, I am just kind of going through this list, and the first one that pops out at me for what I got completely wrong was the Floop's Glorious Group. I'll rate that a 5. That card barely saw any play past the
I rated it a 2.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I got that one right.
Actually, all the Druid cards I overrated, I think.
Talking about Druid cards, I rated Flabidinous Floop a 2 as well. I don't think it's seeing as much play as a lot of people thought, but it's definitely a solid 3, borderline 4 to me now.
I got it for 4.
It's instrumental in the Malagos Druid deck.
Yeah, but does one deck validate it being 4 or 5?
It's a tier 1 deck.
It's about in every, except for like Taunt Druid. It's even in Token Druid, so it's there.
So, is it in Token Druid now that Giggling Avenger's been nerfed?
It's still there.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it? Okay.
So let's talk about the highest rated cards as voted by the community.
Good one.
So number 1 in our list, as voted by you guys, the community, was Electra Storm Surge. Now, I think we can all say we kind of missed the mark on that. Electra's fun, but I don't quite think she's meta-defining.
Well, she's instrumental in the new versions of Shutterwalk, and she kind of made Shutterwalk viable in a tournament sense, because being able to have a double Lightning Storm or in some cases a double Volcano really
Healing Ring.
A double Healing Ring, and even the one that draws you a card and reduces it by 3.
Farsight.
Farsight. Having double Farsight gives you great not only card advantage but mana advantage, and I think Electra is pretty good. Is it quite as good as the community rated it? Maybe not, but I think coming into kind of Shaman's fruition, which I think Shaman's going to be strong in Rastakhan's before we see all the cards, just from the theme alone, I think Shaman's going to end up being strong. We might see some spells that really boost her up. And so she might end up being a lot better even than what the community is saying now.
Yeah, I think Shaman was pushed out of this meta except for Shutterwalk for the most part. So I think she suffered from the fact that it wasn't that she wasn't a good card, because I think she is a fantastic card, but I think right now her class is suffering from a real lack of mid-game minions that can keep up with all the other classes' mid-game minions, in particular Hunter and Paladin. She's a
good card in that deck. She's not the best card in that deck. That's where I think she's landed. Okay. She's like a very solid 3 card. She's a very good utility card, but she doesn't make Shutterwalk go.
Yeah,
I think that's where she falls in. So I think she falls in right there, kind of in that 3 to 3.5 range.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I kind of agree. The 4.5 range with the community gave her was a bit ridiculous, but hey, right. She's good, but she's not that good.
She is in every Shaman deck. I've not seen a Shaman deck without her in this meta.
Well, even Shaman, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that can play her.
Yeah. So I'm gonna move on. Next, the number 2 highest rated card was the Flabidinous Floop that we just talked about. Number 3 was the Solarium.
I agree with that.
Honestly, I think while the Solarium is one of the best cards in this set, I think the overall average community rating of 3.86 is low. That card is staple in Zoo, and Zoo ran rampant for a long time in this meta.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I gave that card a 5.
Yeah, number 4 on the community list was Spirit Bomb.
That's a flop.
Yeah, that one hasn't seen much play. Number 5 was the Crystallizer, which
another partial flop.
And then number 6, which you got to go all the way to number 6 to find what could arguably be the best card in the set, is Ziliax.
Yeah, I mean, it's a benefit that it's a neutral card, so it can actually go in more decks because it's neutral. But Ziliax is in just about every deck. In aggro decks, it's that extra healing that you need. In control decks, it's that extra bit of sustain, being a taunt with Divine Shield. In your mid-range decks, it's just that extra balance of a card. I think Ziliax, aside from Giggling Inventor that was nerfed, is post Giggling Inventor nerf probably the best card in the set.
Yeah.
I just want to say I'm proud of all of you. Each of you gave it a 4, except for Avanties, who gave it a 5.
Nice.
I gave it a 4 too. So I think we kind of hit that one. I think
I will never admit Avanties is right, even when he is.
That's very true. He will not. So
I can tell you one that we definitely missed the mark on, and that was Biology Project.
yeah, so Biology Project doesn't come in until like number 9 on the list.
But Mattatarms gave it a 2.
That's still really hot.
Yeah, I didn't like that card from the start.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan of that either, because I'm not a big fan of ramping your opponent. But
I can't remember what I gave it. I have to look at
it. Hey, if you count Wild, it was probably a 5 because it was a key card in that Starliner deck.
Oh, I gave it a 4. Ooh, oopsie.
You know, it's funny you mentioned Starliner, because Starliner is the number 1 card on our most controversial list.
I think because of the memes.
Yeah.
Well, I think
was.
Starliner was the most controversial because our community has a large, good split of wild and standard players, and this could be your wild players actually seeing, the evils that could happen before they happened. Because in wild, Starliner was oppressive until the recent nerfs of Aviana.
No, it was pure memes. I rated it a 7
out of 5.
out of 5.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's right. This is the one everybody was rating 7 because. Oh yeah, that's right.
Because it's a 7 and for 7. So yeah. Anyway, so the next most controversial card on the list was Whizbang the Wonderful. And
again, not really a card. That's the other thing.
Yeah. So you got to get all the way down to number 3 on the list before you run into the Galvanizer, which is the mech that reduces the cost of mechs in your hand when he comes into play.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Galvanizer really didn't. I mean, you saw him see a little bit of play in your Mech Hunters and Mech Paladin decks when they first came out, and then people were like, you know what? As fast paced as this deck is, we don't need a reduction in cost. But Galvanizer did start seeing a lot of play in your Mechathune decks to make sure that your Mechathune gets low enough to combo with other cards. And it allowed Mechathune to be able to be played. I think it was, I'm trying to remember which streamer it was, Hysteria. Hysteria actually made a video of 9 different Mechathune wins with a deck in every single class, pulling off the Mechathune combo in standard in every class, and Galvanizer was key to that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think part of the controversialness of the Galvanizer and a lot of the mechs in this list is the fact that the community is really split on if mechs would work or not. And we found out that kind of mechs really don't, except for just like a couple exceptions. Like there's a couple key cards that are mechs, but none of them are actual mech decks. Like me, I rated most of the mechs high, like Framebot, the 5/5, War Gear, a few others. I rated those super high, thinking mechs would actually make an impact, and they obviously didn't. So I think that and if mechs actually did make an impact, I think Galvanizer would have been more popular.
So my theory on why the mechs didn't take off on this was that we were starting to see how powerful the Gin Greymane and Baku odd and even decks really are. And that the modified hero power is having a significant impact on not only the pace of the game, but how wide we can send the board. And now that Giggling Inventor especially isn't in the meta to slow down those board states, I think that the mechs are seeing even less play than before. And I think you're seeing more of at least from what I can see, you're seeing more of that Witchwood meta with maybe one or two cards, Ziliax being one of them from Boomsday.
So I'm looking at this list under most controversial, and I go all the way to the bottom to see which one was the least controversial. There's only one of them that everybody voted the same, and everybody voted it a 1, and it's the Holomancer. The Holomancer is a 5-mana 3/3 epic minion. After your opponent plays a minion, summon a 1/1 copy of it. I didn't even realize this card existed until just now.
Hey,
I was like, that's a card?
there is one card that everybody missed on.
Okay.
Hello.
That's
Giggling
true.
Inventor.
Giggling Inventor. Go ahead.
Giggling Inventor averaged a 3.71 from the community, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
If you would have rated it after now, I think the original 5-mana Giggling Inventor would probably have gotten a 6 on this spreadsheet.
Out of 5, yeah.
Out of 5 because it was everywhere. It got nerfed, and it was pretty much like, okay, if my deck can run a 5-mana Giggling Inventor, it will run a 5-mana Giggling Inventor.
It was staple in almost every deck at 5 mana.
So,
but yeah.
And the other notable card that I want to say that I got completely wrong, and I think everybody did, except for Virsica and Avanties, I think still underrated a little bit. My biggest surprise of the entire set, Super Collider.
Yeah.
Super Collider, I think I would now rate that card a 4. That card is ridiculous.
So
it's one of those. It's 2 for 1. It's the staple in Odd Warrior.
I hit it. I rated it a 2 because I thought, why would you? The only real scenario that gets great value is if you got 2 giants and you kill both of them off with 1 hit, but you're taking 8 damage. This card's not going to get played, and I really underestimated the possibility of Odd Warrior using this, being able to generate 4 armor each turn. This Super Collider is one of the biggest misses that I did in rating, because I use that card constantly. I love it.
So I'm going to give you guys some kudos. I'm going to give us as a show kudos. So I went back to look what our individual ratings for Giggling Inventor was. Mattatarms rated it a 3. Zerotio rated it a 4. I rated it a 4. And look at Avanties coming in and rating it at a 5.
Wow.
Avanties was just okay, but Avanties was just literally like Oprah Winfrey with the 5s. You get a 5 and you get a 5.
That's not true. That is not true. I was very liberal with them this time. Although I will say, I did whiff on like Mattatarms. I was pretty high on the mechs. I did rate a couple of mechs a 5 that probably didn't need it, like upgradable frame bot. But I want to shout out on that Super Collider. I want to shout out Altenberg and Inked were the 2 members that gave it the highest rating at a 4. So they saw it before anybody else.
There were a lot of 1s for that card and quite a few 2s. Like I said, 5 mana for a 1/3 weapon that may get extra value, but man, one thing that really came out was the abundance of poisonous minions with, whether it be through a trap, if you knew that you could, attack in and get the Cobra strike trap to pop, and then hit the minion, and when the Cobra pops out next to it, it kills the Cobra as well as killing the minion you hit. There's just so much value you can get out of that card. Now, whether that value stays going into the new set, we'll have to see. But with the invention of overkill and other overkill, cards going with it that aren't just weapons, you might see the Super Collider set up overkill conditions where you hit a minion into another one, killing it, but leaving that minion at 1. Then you can overkill it with another card, and you get like a good 3 for 2 value with that. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what kind of overkill cards are in Warrior. I think Super Collider's here to stay, though, whether it be Odd Warrior or even just a regular style of Warrior for a Control Warrior or a Tempo Warrior.
Okay. So I went back and counted. I gave out 12 5s for this entire set.
That's not bad.
And I do want to say to Virsica and myself, we're the only two to rate one of my favorite cards in this set a 5, and that's the Coppertail Imposter.
Yep.
That was,
that card's good in Arena.
Not only is it good in Arena, but I think with the overkill mechanic coming out, I think it's going to be a very good card in the new set.
Yeah, Coppertail, the fact that you can pretty much just, set up a minion for the next turn.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
All right, guys, we got to move on. We've still got a deck to play tonight.
I was going to say, the deck we're playing is not going to take that long, I promise.
Yeah. So those were our Boomsday reviews.
And just for the record, I gave 2 5s out, and one of those was Whiz Bang.
I'm sorry. So let's see. Let's look at the overall ratings that the show host gave the set. So real quick, I had them pulled up here just a second ago. So Mattatarms, you overall rated the set a 2.19.
That's about right.
Yeah. Zerotio, you rated the set a 2.44.
Mr. Negative there. Yeah.
I actually rated it higher than both of you at a 2.86.
I got both of you beat, or all of you beat.
And Avanties rated it at a 3.10.
I was right.
I honestly think it's a nice, solid, balanced set that's going to allow for wiggle room out of the cards in it based on the future sets. So I think if your overall rating was right around a 2.5, that would mean it's balanced. So I think we all did pretty good.
I'm good.
I think it'd be interesting to see how we rate these cards again, and I'm not saying we're going to do it, but how actually all of the Raven sets do once the Mammoth rotates out.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say I'm interested to see what this set does when it no longer has to contend with Death Knights.
Yeah.
I think in particular Rexar, who I think when Rexar first came out, he was widely considered to be the weakest of the Death Knights.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's turned into one of the most powerful and game-changing, which is pretty good. And Garrosh, who I think was one of the favorites coming out, has really not done much. So once he goes, I'm really interested to see what Mech Warrior in particular looks like come April.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious come April if the classes that have hero cards will be, a step above the classes that don't, or if they address that at all. Maybe the first set will have the remaining 6 hero cards from the classes that don't have them. We don't know. Would be really interesting to see that.
Yep. All right. So keep an eye out. We will announce when the review sheet for Rastakhan's Rumble is available, and if you want to fill it out, we'll post it out there on Twitter for you guys. So keep an eye on our Twitter feed at HeroPower_cast. So this week's Tavern Brawl is a Temporous Shift. Time is an illusion. Turn times doubly so. Build a standard deck, and each turn you'll get an extra turn. So proactive strategies and combos seem really strong with this. Cards with start of turn effects are really good. You get basically a free Doomsayer or free demons if you use the Skull of Minari. And if you guys don't, it's hot. We highly recommend you guys, if you're on Twitter, check out JoeMag_games. That is the official Twitter for Joe Magdalena. He's the dev behind the Tavern Brawls. And he is the guy in charge of it. He brings us so much fun every week. And he does such a great job giving us insight into these brawls. And he's just a super nice guy. So just give him a follow.
Very quick story and shout out. I got to meet Joe Mag at BlizzCon during the puzzles panel. He actually sat in the crowd with myself and a Legend of the Innkeeper crew. Daniel Sheldon from Blizzlet was there. Andrew's Living from Happy Hearthstone was there. Just the who's who of all the podcasts were there. He sat right amongst all of us, got our input, got our thoughts, especially on Tavern Brawl and the solo content. He was very willing to talk to us and get our insight. So if you have any suggestions or anything you like or could find corrections on, feel free to tweet at him and he'll take that information because he loves hearing what the community thinks. And he is nothing but a joy to talk to. Loves the game, loves the community. Great guy.
So tips for this Tavern Brawl for people that are struggling with it. Have you guys
Warlock.
played it?
I have not yet.
I've played it.
Play Warlock.
All right, so I didn't play Warlock, and I had zero problems with it either. So, Mattatarms, do you have any tips to give out?
Basically keep in mind that your minions all have charge. Your charge minions technically have Wind Fury.
Yep.
And your Wind Fury minions technically have Mega Wind Fury.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
You keep that in mind. So that's why tempo strategies work. I did it the first time with a Q block, and you can do some really disgusting things with 2 turns free for Q block.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's and I've heard some really disgusting stories about some turn 4 Master Oakhearts that have rush, or not rush, charge, because you have that extra turn after you get that Master Oakheart out. So there's some really gross things you do, and actually, if you love Magma Rager, it's time to savor it. If Magma Rager is your favorite, it's time to savor it because he's a 5/1 with charge.
Also, one thing to note is this is standard.
Yes.
It does not have wild cards in it. I was hoping that it would have wild cards. It did not. But it might have been just a little bit too crazy go nuts Clown Fiesta if you could play with wild cards.
I'm so glad it did.
Hey, Starliner would be back.
So I actually did this with Rogue and Shaman and think outside the box. And I would highly recommend you add Acidic Swamp Ooze to your deck and mulligan for it. Especially if you're playing against Warlock.
Okay.
It's pretty gross.
Yeah.
I will tell you that Thunderhead is pretty gross as well. And then, like Mattatarms said.
Alarmobot.
Anything that you have with Wind Fury has Mega Wind Fury, and it's pretty awesome.
I think
you would be amazed what 2 air elementals or dust. You would be amazed what 2 dust devils with a flame tongue totem can do.
Oh, good lord, sir.
Yeah.
Good lord,
On my opponent's turn 2, I got Alarmobotted into a Gruul that got Wind Fury cast on it.
That'll do it.
Well, my first 2 turns had the Dust Devil and Flame Tongue, and
Wow.
it was awful.
Disgusting, sir. Disgusting.
I have to say I am proud of you embracing your inner smork.
I actually have been smorking a lot this week. You know,
Speaking of smorking, we have a wonderful shaman, a wild shaman deck we got this week.
That's right.
I was going to say, so that shaman, he was saying that I had a page full of shaman. He was not kidding. And
Nice.
all of but two of them were all aggro based shaman. So
Yeah. So this week's deck is a shaman deck, and we decided to take something we've been seeing, even shaman, and go a little wild with it. So
this is all Mattatarms' fault.
This is all Mattatarms' fault. So,
Yep.
All right, this
It's
week
the better format, folks.
we are looking at even shaman. So I'm going to run down the deck list, and then I'll turn it over to these three yahoos to kind of talk about the deck. So, all right, it's 2 Totem Golem, 2 Merc Spark Eel, 2 Maelstrom Portal, 2 Jade Claws, 2 Flame Tongue Totem, 2 Devolve, and 2 Crackle. That's like half the deck at 2 cost.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, and 1 Ancestral Knowledge. Throw that one in there too. Then you've got 2 Piloted Shredders, 2 Jade Lightnings, 2 4-mana 7/7s, Flame Wreath Faceless, 2 Thing from Below, 1 Gin Greymane, 2 Fire Elementals, 1 Aya Blackpaw, 1 Lich King, and if all of that wasn't disgusting enough, the icing on top of this wild cake is 2 Sea Giants. So, all right, Matt, take it away.
So this is a list that's probably the most popular and probably the best deck in Wild right now. HS Replay puts it at about a 60% win rate across all ranks. In Wild, I ran it from rank 10 to rank 5, going 13-3. In the 3 losses, I think I drew like all my 6 mana cards at one time at the beginning of the game. Basically, it's not quite an aggro deck. It's more like a straight up old school zoo deck.
It's a tempo deck.
It's a tempo deck. Yeah, you are looking to control the board. You're looking to make good trades, and you can start burning later in the game with Crackle, Jade Lightning, and going face with the Flame Tongue Totem. It has the best 2-drop in the game ever printed, Totem Golem.
He's not wrong. It's like you get early game Totem Golems, and you're winning that match.
Yeah. Devolve is probably one of the most disgusting cards ever printed. Ancestral Knowledge is an interesting tech choice in this deck. I pulled this deck straight off HS Replay. I would probably either go with a Acidic Swamp Ooze or some other tech choice at that spot. Piloted Shredder's in there just because Piloted Shredder's good. You can probably go with anything else at that spot. But those are kind of like the 3 open spots in that deck. You're looking to mulligan for 2-drops, which you have plenty of them. You should get them. Usually start out with start with Totem Golem, use Merc Spark Eel on the next turn to remove their stuff. Jade Claws is a really good card right off the bat. And yeah, then like turn 4, you slam that Flame Wreath Faceless, or turn 3, you drop the Thing from Below because you've been toteming like crazy because you could do it for 1 mana.
Yep.
Sea Giants in there because you can go wide, and also other decks in Wild tend to go wide. And Lich King's in there because it's a big fat 8-drop that will hit face for a lot, and a lot of the Lich King cards are really good with this deck. So yeah, and you basically run Lich King because you can't run Dr. Boom.
And since I can't just leave things alone, I didn't have Aya Blackpaw because I dusted her. So I replaced her originally with a Menacing Nimbus to give me the extra elemental. Mm-hmm. And so what I found was I was getting either a 3rd giant or an earth elemental more often than not. So those actually turned out to be pretty decent. So I kept her, and I ended up replacing my two piloted shredders with 2 wind speakers.
I've seen that in a few lists. Also, the Ancestral Knowledge can also be a Wind Fury spell. Yeah. I've seen that tech a few times, and actually, if you can drop a 0 mana thing from below, which is no problem with this deck, you pretty much, and then the next turn, since it's difficult to remove, you can swing in for 10 or swing in for 16 with a Sea Giant.
Yeah.
So yeah, this deck is reasonably gross.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun to play, and it honestly, the feel of the deck feels a lot like, not quite Karazhan Midrange Shaman, but like when the Jade cards started coming in Midrange Shaman, it feels a lot like that.
See, when I first started, I played Tempo Shaman. That was the bulk of what I played, and this has that old Tempo Shaman feel to it.
Yeah.
So I've not played Wild in months, like just since I've even looked at it, and I built this deck because I have all the cards for it, and I wanted to play some Wild because, as Matt said, I think the superior format. It's by far my favorite format.
It is. Except for Big Priest, Delete Barnes.
Yeah, so I actually started playing this deck at rank 25, and over the course of about 2.5 days, I have win streaked all the way to the rank 15 floor with it. And I'm still having a whole lot of fun. You know, it doesn't, like, my biggest issue with playing a lot, like the push to Legend, is that I get bored just playing the same deck over and over and over and over. Mm-hmm. And I've not had that with this deck. I've not felt bored playing this deck at any point. So it's been a lot of fun. So
yeah, this deck may have me jump into Wild. I haven't been there in a while.
The thing I like about it is each round, your choice is impactful. Like, if you don't trade correctly, you're going to lose. If you don't go face at the right time, you're going to lose. So it's not one of those where you set it down and you auto win, or you come up against something and it's just an automatic loss. You're in every game, and your decisions matter more about the impact and the outcome of that game than what your opponent does. And that is something that I feel like has been missing from Hearthstone for a while, at least in what we've been playing. So for me, it was kind of a breath of fresh air. I know it's kind of oppressive on the Wild ladder right now, but I like that it's there.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it oppressive. It's very strong. I would say there's other decks that are a lot more oppressive, like, say, Big Priest, which, if you follow me on Twitter, you know my campaign to delete bards. But this deck actually has game against Big Priest, even if they draw barns on 4 most of the time. The my last loss I did with this deck, I ran into a Big Priest and he kind of had the nut draw, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, like, barns on 4, Eternal Servitude on 5, and I'm like, okay. And then get the 5/5 copy of whatever's in your deck on 6, which was that game was not fun.
Yeah,
you can't beat that. But I think this deck has game against literally anything you can see. It can beat down armor game decks. I can outlast a lot of the other mid-range decks and aggro decks. Like, Maelstrom Portal is ridiculous in this deck. I forgot how good that card was when I first started playing this deck again. So like you said, unless Big Priest gets the nuts draw, usually I can beat it with this deck. The deck I found the deck that I probably lost to the most playing this deck was Control Warlock. Because when they get rolling, there's just no way to really overcome it. They have so much removal that it's just you can't compete with it once they get rolling. So you really have to beat them fast.
Yeah, if you come up against a Warlock, you better be mulliganing for Totem Golems, because they're the key. Yeah, my 3 losses in my run were that Big Priest,
a Reno Mage, and another Even Shaman, which I had a bad mulligan on.
Mm.
But like I think, so yeah, this is a really strong deck, and you'll probably see it as much as you'll see anything else in Wild.
Speaking of, I really want to see it now. So like I said, I've had a lot of fun with this deck, and I'm ready to get a few games in. So, with all of that said, if you're joining us on Twitch or YouTube, please stay tuned for the live play portion of our show. If you are listening via our audio podcast, we'd like to thank you for joining us. And remember, you can follow us on Twitter at HeroPower_cast, where you can find all of our past episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/ECMMOgamers or on our website at HeroPowerHS.com. If you enjoy the show, you'd like to help support and improve it, you can do so by joining our Patreon, which will also grant you access to our patron-only Discord for as little as $1 a month over at patreon.com/HeroPower. And we'll see you all again next week.
And don't forget to use your hero power.
Turn 1 for 1 mana.
Alrighty. So, who did we decide was driving this week?
I think Virsica decided he wanted to.
Okay, I've got the different list. Hold on.
Oh,
let me
okay.
grab-
I got the main. I got the regular list going.
Yeah.
I can go.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't
Yeah.
have Aya Blackpaul, so.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, I lied. I'm ranked 6, 2 stars. I thought I was ranked 5.
Thought you were going to say you lied and you deleted the deck.
No.
I was going to be like, fine, I'll drive. But no.
I thought I was ranked 5, but I was wrong. All right, let me know when you guys are ready to go.
Oh, ready to rock and roll.
All right, I got a 1-minute queue.
Oh.
1 minute queue.
Yeah.
I had
you
a
know,
5 earlier.
There are 100 million people who play Hearthstone now.
And about 50 that play Wild.
That's not 50 million.
That I ran
That's
into
50.
alreer finally stopped playing.
Yeah, that's,
All right,
that's
I
not
got
50
an
million.
I got an opponent. Oh, it was a gun. I got a star. Almost got a gun pusher, but it was a worthy opponent. This is a Warlock.
Joy.
Spectator boss.
I am installing a new timer fuse. I'll be in just
All right.
a second.
I almost challenged Major Death to a match.
All right, so I got Merrspark, Eel, Sea Giant, and Devolve. I'm going to toss back the Sea Giant and Devolve for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Devolve is tempting because of Void Caller,
Yeah.
but I think I'm better off going for like a Totem Golem here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
So one thing I noticed is you don't have Spellbreaker, which is usually in almost all even lists.
Yeah,
Is that because you have Devolve?
Yeah.
pretty much. You can put a Spellbreaker in that. Like I said, that Piloted Shredder can be pretty much anything else.
Threw back the Sea Giant and
Got a Sea
drew-
Giant.
Got a Sea Giant. We also drew a Fire Elemental and a Flame Tongue Totem.
So our turn 1 play is really difficult. We have to roll one of the 0-2s.
Oh wait, it's we did get a 0-2. I was like, what happens
There
if we
we
get a
go.
1-1?
I mean, that's almost always your play. Very rarely are you going to coin something out on the first turn, but coining out a turn 1 Totem Golem
So-
is hot.
Do we Flame Tongue here, or do we just go ahead and summon another 0-2 and Flame Tongue next turn?
I'm leaning towards toteming again. It gets our Totem Golem down to 1 more.
Yeah.
We don't know what this guy is yet either. And I don't want to play the Merrspark Eel or the Flame Tongue Totem just to get removed for causing 2 damage.
Right. He's got
And
the
you
coin,
said-
so
You said
Yeah.
Totem Golem. You mean the thing from below is
Thing
what you
from
meant,
below,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
And I want to give a huge shout out to BBH. Thanks for the 100-bit cheer. Appreciate it, brother.
Oh, yes, thank you so much.
So a life tap makes me think this is either Arena Warlock or a Cube Warlock.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm kind of willing to go in for a little damage here. And the important thing is with the Flame Tongue Totem as well is placement. You always want to place it kind of in the middle and I'll put all your minions to the left side and all your because all your stuff that summons comes out on the right
On
side.
the right side, that's correct.
And then I'm just going to hero power again. Hopefully this is not a 1-1 good. Defile's
See,
bad here.
At this point, yeah, if we had a 1/1, and the fact that we had a 50% chance for the 1/1, is there maybe holding off the holding off the totem?
Yeah,
would have been
there's
smart too.
that was probably wouldn't have been the smarter play. Would be to well,
Okay.
they coined Hellfire anyway, which is
Yeah,
fine.
that's good. We baited out the coin.
So our draw is really bad, quite honestly. I'm at this point I'm willing to just start burning face with the Merrspark Eel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then once again toteming. If we get a spell power, it's great because we can use it for that crackle next turn.
But we got a healing totem.
Yeah, and then there's the Void Caller. Like I said, there's probably a Mal'Ganis in his hand now. And I'm more than happy to draw here.
Yeah,
well, the thing is, if we Ancestral Knowledge, then that means we don't get the reach of the Fire Elemental next turn.
That's true. But we also get a chance to draw like a Devolve, a Totem Golem, Jade Claw, something.
Devolve.
Devolve would be fantastic here.
So
Good
there's
call.
Maelstrom Portal. There's the Faceless. That's would have been nice this turn, but we don't get it. I'm honestly just thinking about just toteming and going face again.
I think so.
If we roll Air Totem, is there a chance to crackle?
Ooh, no, because I almost want to wait till he drops Reno or Mal'Ganis
that's
at this
fair.
point.
Yeah, we want to save that crackle for Mal'Ganis or after he renos. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like that.
so actually that draw actually helps us out because next turn we're dropping the 7/7.
Yeah. Again, takes us off curve for the Fire Elemental, but it's a 7/7.
Yeah, it's 4 mana 7/7. It's pretty good. And that was a really passive turn by him.
It was.
Ooh, so I don't want to drop the Shredder because that plays into the file. 4 mana 7/7 is probably the best bet.
Yeah.
And his Hellfire only put his Spellstone up to 5 damage. Obviously,
Correct.
you can trade and use a Spellstone, but that's 2 cards.
Mm-hmm. There's the Siphon Soul. That's fine.
And Soul, okay.
And he's afraid of that flame. He's afraid of that Air Totem.
Yep.
So now it's kind of. See, this puts us down. Totem puts us down to 7. We still can't play it with the Jade Claws. I'm leaning towards the Shredder now, and totem.
Totem?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
don't hate that.
because the Shredder now is difficult to remove, and we played right into Defile, which is fine because it's going to damage whatever that comes out of that.
Yeah, and the Shredder, so he'll pop it and see what he gets.
Okay, that
Ooh.
brand is scary. And a Kazak is okay. This because Reno Warlock is probably one of our.
That was a snap first pick, because that.
Yeah, it's probably an AOE.
Yeah.
So if we can get a Devolve here, that'd be great. If we can get, we can double up on the Sea Giants.
Yep.
Yeah,
What do
we
you guys
can.
like better?
So we can Jake.
Does he run twisting? He does, doesn't he? Doesn't he,
runs
run one of
twisting.
twisting?
He runs twisting. He runs Defile. He already used his Hellfire. Probably runs like. He also probably runs like Blast Crystal. A few other. There's a ton of removal in Wild.
Yeah.
So you're thinking Jade Claws and.
I'm thinking one giant Jade Claws and.
We can actually double giants. We can Jade Claws into double giant.
I like it.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we want to load
if he
up into
twisting's
twisting?
it's done because he's going
That's
into
true.
8.
That's true.
And he's held a lot of those cards.
And how much are we afraid of this brand?
I'm actually more afraid of the brand personally.
Are we sure we don't want a Maelstrom Portal Fire Elemental?
I'm thinking Fire Elemental, the brand, and Maelstrom Portal. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Because that brand is scary.
And I'm going to trade this in since that goes away with the N'Zoth.
Yeah, I would. And the Tentacle actually makes it awkward for him.
5 mana, and give you 4 health. That's good. So Deval would be really good here. Just leaves him an 8-drop, but that's fine.
I am kind of surprised he left the tentacle up.
I'm not. I mean, it hurts our board more than it hurts his, and he's going to draw off it anyway.
Okay, that's why he left it up.
Merc Sparkeel's not that good.
Oh.
Let's see here. We don't have any Jades going. We're not in a good position at this point. We can start if we get forcing the issue with Crackle and Fire Elemental.
We can Fire Elemental Merc Spark and take out the Kazakus.
Yeah, in case it prevents a Zola play.
Right.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about Zola in this deck.
Zola is ridiculous in Wild. Zola is probably the best card they printed in Cold.
Well, because it takes your Reno decks, your Singleton decks, to be able to have 2 copies of a key card.
Yeah.
And it's a golden copy, so it's even better.
Yeah. Yeah, Shadow Bolt. It's fine.
Is it Defile?
Demon Wrath.
Demon Wrath. Oh, about the same. Same thing as a Defile at this case.
Yeah, that was
He
the
runs
card I was trying to think of earlier and couldn't think of the name.
Miss Edward. So we have
We've got 2 Crackles now.
2 Crackles, but no other burn.
Yeah.
We
I'm
could
almost
YOLO, though.
If we could draw a Jade Lightning next turn, I'd go for YOLO.
I mean, we could...
I'm thinking Jade Claws and Sea Giant.
Here's the thing. I was going to say, if we Crackle now, that's just going to prompt the Reno.
Yeah, that's why I'm like waiting for Jade Claws so we can do it all in one turn.
I like Jade Claws and Sea Giant, yeah.
we
could have
Totem.
Yeah.
Sea Giant.
We could have Totem because it basically makes it just one
Yeah,
super. I don't know how good that would be though. We're not really low enough that we have to have a Taunt Totem.
And like I said, if we
It's not
get
about
either
getting the Taunt Totem, it's trying to get the Wrath of Air Totem up.
Yeah, but if we got Wrath Air now,
it's fine.
He'd kill it.
That's perfectly fine.
So I don't understand the.
No, that's why he did that.
Oh God! If we get Devolve,
this is gross.
Yeah.
We get
what
Devolve, it's
was he
game
doing?
over.
Yeah.
It's not Devolve.
God. That would have been so sweet.
We can.
We have to kill the Void Lord because we need those 1/3s to die with the Doomsayer. I think that's all we can do.
Yeah, I kind of.
Is this pretty much telegraphing a Gul'dan?
It's either telegraphing a Gul'dan or he just knows we're like kind of not in a good spot. Let's Hero Power and go because there's nothing else we can do on this turn. Except burn. Because these crackles need to go face. If he Gul'dans here, I think it's over. Because we can't do.
It's a Gul'dan.
It's fine. It's a mana.
I mean, this is the weakness of this deck.
Yeah, it's very board centric. I think we just play Lich King and go.
Yeah, if they go wide, there's not a whole lot you can do. That's why Devolves are so important so early.
Do I just create the 2/2 Jade Golem?
I don't hate that.
Now, Death and Decay would be good here.
Death and Decay, Death Coil, Army of the Dead.
We could Death
bad.
Grip the Reno out. I don't know if we got to worry about Reno now so much. He has Gul'dan, so he's gaining life every turn anyways. Don't you usually want a Gul'dan after you Reno?
No. He,
Really?
like at this point, like Reno's not even like Reno's just like in case like shenanigans happen, which there probably will. There's no Morganis. Okay.
So what?
Means it's in the hand, right?
No, it's still in the deck.
It's not in the hand. Why would...
Okay.
That seems like a mistake.
Especially since we can Death Grip his Mal'Ganis.
Or his Reno, but yeah. Why trade? Why? He just made it so we can pop. I don't understand.
That's
grab. Oh,
And
that's not.
definitely pop the
But we can get the 5/5 that makes the 10/10, can't we?
Yes.
And we didn't get it.
We didn't get it. You
Memes.
think an Hexer here?
I'm thinking memes at this point.
Okay.
Do we even have anything to beef up the Azrak
No.
anymore? We're out of
No,
fire elementals.
We don't have. Yeah, we have. There's Reno.
There's Reno.
Skims. And he just put one back in his deck. It's fine.
Yep.
Like I said, this deck is. Oh, there's the Totem Golem we could have used in turn 1. Yeah, game's over.
yeah.
That
On
is
to
a
the
tough
next one.
matchup, though.
That was my biggest issue playing the deck, was running into Control Warlock like that. So.
Yeah, Reno Warlock is. I mean, it's just designed to beat that deck.
Yeah.
Another one.
Once again, we didn't see either Totem Golem early, and we didn't see either Devolve.
Correct.
Yeah,
Those
you can.
cards could have made a huge difference in that
Yep.
match.
Oh yeah.
So we got a Jade Claws, different guy,
Different Warlock.
different Warlock. This one's Mecha Jiraxis. Ooh, Totem Golem. Things from below. Jade Claws. I like this hand.
Now this is a hand.
Yeah. Again, he can go back in the deck.
Throw again. I
So you
keep
really just
the
toss
thing
it in.
because
Eye
we're
is
looking
good.
at we're looking at
Turn 1.
turn 1 into turn 2.
Turn
Well, we
2
can't
either
coin on
Claws
turn
or
3, but because we'll be down a mana, but we can turn
And
3
there's
into
a
There's
Devolve.
the Devolve.
Yeah, there's that card we needed last game.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, now we have the tools. We can build it. We can make it stronger.
Remember, put your minions on the left side.
Yep.
Totem Golem.
The card's good.
Then
2
we
mana,
can
3/4. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my Lich King.
fine. It's fine. We're not gonna rely on that. Well, do we just go face?
Hopefully he's dead by then.
Do we just go face?
Yeah, we drop.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we do 5 damage to the face every time.
Well, 7.
Oh yeah, with the Totem Golem. Okay,
And he's gonna.
he's gonna kill it.
Sack pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a-
What?
Oh yes.
Why would you? If you're gonna, why would you do that? Okay, so
Because
I know.
Because
the
you
how-
probably had a handful of demons and figured there was a 25% chance.
Oh, that was
yeah,
great.
but the thing is, the Halfiend's designed for a treachery. You treachery it and do all the shenanigans. But why would you put that in the same deck as a Void Caller?
Because you want to bring it out for free.
Right.
Yeah, but then he shouldn't have played the Void Caller. Is my point.
He shouldn't have played the Void. He shouldn't have sack packed the Void Collar with the thing in his hand.
Yeah,
or he lost.
yeah.
Or he lost the coin flip, which it's more likely what happened.
Yeah.
He probably had a Mal'Ganis in his hand. He thought he was all cool,
That
and
was
then he decided,
great.
especially after burning our Lich King.
That was fabulous. Oh man.
But he also probably realized that he had nothing that could handle that Totem Golem before the Totem Golem did insurmountable damage.
Oh, this is nice too. If we can get a Maelstrom portal, we might have another woo moment.
Yeah, so Fire
Yeah.
Elemental goes back.
Well, there's the Fire Elemental that doesn't do anything.
Yeah, the bad Fire Elemental.
Yeah.
The Fire Elemental out of bullets.
Yep, Odd Paladin.
Yep.
Odd Paladin and Wild, you're in for a treat. This deck is a lot of fun too.
Yeah, it has all the dude synergy though.
Yeah.
It has all the dude synergy.
I actually built this deck in WoW just to have some fun with it.
There's a special base in hell for you.
I have
Oh,
three.
dude,
I have three
dude.
wild decks right now. I have Even Shaman, Odd Paladin, and Resurrection Priest.
Hey,
In this
I have
matchup, the 1/1 totem is actually really good.
agreed. It's a lot better. And then this time we do Jade Claws.
Yeah,
We
I
do
like
Jade-
that.
We do Jade Claws because it can test the board.
Yep.
And then we do the
Plenty
Totem
of
Golem.
time for Totem Golem.
Yeah, we can do the Totem Golem, or we can do probably Totem Golem coin hero power next turn, or
Yeah.
Flame Tongue is less important in the early game against this deck because just about everything you put out kills dudes.
yeah. In fact, he's trading in his dudes is
Yeah.
helping me out, which is fine.
That tells me he must not have any dude synergy.
Well, it just tells you that he's got Call to Arms, or not Call to Arms,
Muster for battle. Mustard in his hand.
and playing on the name,
What's
The-
it do?
5, that makes all of them 3/3 and 1.
So hold on. Is there any merit to coin out hero power here?
Yes,
That's what I
guess
just did.
there is.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's one. We make our things from below
Yeah, we're guaranteed a thing from below next turn.
next turn, and then and it also
And
puts
actually,
up
we
more
can-
stuff to.
We can hero power a thing from below next turn.
Yeah,
Well, that. Oh, he's having to waste a Blessing of Might.
on a Totem
He's
Golem.
gonna hate seeing this
Yeah.
thing from below.
He's got what he needs in his hand. That's why he's playing it this way.
So next turn, it's pretty much another thing from below, and probably the flame tongue totem if anything's still up.
We can actually Flame Tongue
Yeah,
hero
then
power, and then we get
and
a
then-
free thing from below.
he's gonna clear his board.
Wow. The value.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, do we?
I think you stick with your original plan and think from below Flame Tongue Totem and use the Healing Totem to clear the raid leader.
I like that. The other thought was Jade Lightning, but we're not there yet.
And
I should have put that over
yeah, I
there.
was about to say,
Yeah.
do we want that on the left?
side?
But I mean, he's not going to
Do
put
as I do.
anything
Do as
down.
do as I say, not as I do.
He's going to do anything that's going. That's going away.
Yeah.
There's our Jade Lightning target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, we got the bad maul too.
So, Sea Giant's really tempting.
Yeah. I think it's
Uh,
still Jade Lightning though.
Yeah, I think you did Lightning.
This is why you put your minions on the left side, because all this crap.
Yep.
So that Flame Wreath Faceless we're playing next turn is going on the left side. Or the Sea Giant, actually. Probably more likely if he plays something. If he hero powers.
So he's got cards from his first, second, and third turn. He still has not played.
Yeah.
It's because he's been trading way more than he's used to. But this next turn is going to break our back if we don't get something out.
So I'm thinking.
Well, he just helped us with Sea Giant. Well, don't we with Totem first? Yeah, we don't want to
can
Sea Giant
Totem,
first.
Faceless, and Sea Giant this turn.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. Everything else to the left.
Yep,
To the left.
to the left, to the left.
To the left now, yo.
Now we
Turn
are
it
going to
up.
trade these minions.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Would love the Healing Totem there, but
Yeah, Healing Totem would have been sweet.
you think
This
he
is
has
probably-
level up in his hand?
He probably either has level up or Quartermaster.
Quartermaster, yeah.
Level up. That's what I was trying to think of.
He doesn't. Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Or he doesn't want to waste it yet.
I think next turn is probably Gen.
Fungalmancer.
You don't like Totem Shredder?
It's not a. He's removing totems. That's weird.
Ooh,
How about
that's
Fire
Fire
Elemental?
Elemental.
That works too. Left
Get rid of
side.
the 4/3?
Yep.
Take out the 4/1.
Yep. Do we just go face here?
No.
Actually, at this point, I think we can go face because we cleared out of all his dudes.
Yeah,
I probably
now the
should have.
dudes are dead.
Yeah, so I think probably should have traded with a flame breath, but it's fine.
I don't know. I don't hate the 8-6 over having the 7-5.
It's a little more awkward with the weapon and the 2 minions that are left.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's what I was thinking. So even now,
He has to take out. Yeah, it's still awkward.
Yeah, he can't take anyone out.
with a weapon and a dude, yeah.
Yeah, he can. He can leave only the 7/7, but he's going to take 6 points of damage to do it. Actually, he can't even do that.
Yeah, he
'cause
can't do
complement
that, yeah.
attack.
The only thing he can kill is he can kill the fire elemental with a 1 minion in the weapon, or he can run both minions into either of the other two.
This is where trading with the 8-8 was better than trading with the 7-7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We miss one damage, but I think but the trades are more awkward this way.
You stain the board better here.
He's got to send the 4/4 and the 4/6 into the 8/6.
But he's got to
If he
get back
doesn't,
from
he's just
getting
dead.
he's got to get back from getting his.
Oh, he's
hot pocket
dead.
as you
He
do
needs
first.
to pick up his phone off the floor.
He's probably just quit Hearthstone. He went back to the main menu.
Hey, he's roping, so he might be wiping.
Oh, there's the devolve.
Do we just devolve
No.
right now and then? Oh, come on. Yeah, you do.
Oh, the
yeah, you got it
DM
right.
Devolve.
Oh, if he got a taunt, if he got a taunt, that would have been so bad.
I would have loved to have seen you gotten a taunt just because.
Yep.
All right.
See, this is where King Rastakhan would come in, though, because
2-1.
Not bad.
No.
Yeah,
But
the
yeah,
one
like
loss was really. I mean, we just
It
drew
was a
really
bad matchup. Yeah,
well,
it
and
was
we
a-
drew horribly.
Yeah, we didn't draw the cards we needed.
Yep.
But you can go toe to toe with odd paladin pretty well with this deck, especially if you we didn't even draw Maelstrom Portal and we did really good.
yeah.
So
I mean, normally you don't draw Maelstrom Portal in that matchup, and it's over.
yeah, especially if they're all prepared for level up quartermaster. Even devolve is ridiculous in that matchup because even if they do get those off, you basically give them a whole board of tiny fins and
With
Wisp, no flipper penguins, and O2 taunts. So
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go, guys.
did we play 3 games? I thought we only
we
did
played.
2.
That was
We played
fast, yeah.
3.
That was
We
3.
went 2 and
Remember
1
the second game he conceded
Oh,
on
that's
turn
right.
3 or something.
That's
because
right.
of the howler. Yeah. So 2 and 1. So even Shaman, fun deck. Go check it out. It'll be posted on our website at heropowerhs.com in the morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, if you want the deck list and we want to have some fun. So, all right. If you guys have any questions or comments about the show, please email us at heropowerpodcast@gmail.com. Hit that subscribe button below on YouTube if you've not done so already, or give us a follow on Twitch to be alerted when we go live. And for more details about our Patreon or how to join our patron-only Discord, check out patreon.com/heropower. And until next week, good gaming.
Bye, guys.
Minions on the left.
Minions on the left.
Coin Hero Power, what?